What's up, bikers? Episode 207 of the Biker Bar podcast. And today we have Casey on from Disconnect to Reconnect. It is a nonprofit, a veteran nonprofit that I've been hanging out with, doing some stuff with in the last few months. So it's been kind of fun. And I thought it'd be great to have him on the show and talk about what he's doing. But before we do that, let's talk about some of the channel sponsors. Today, you would never guess it, but I've been riding bikes for Ari Bikes all year, and I've been super stoked about what I've been riding. And of course, they still have the holiday savings going on. So you're like, man, I can't afford it. I just spent too much money on Christmas. Guess what? They got financing too. It's like something like 12 months, 0% or something like that. You just go there, click the link, buy yourself a bike. But anyways, if you hit the holiday savings link, and you can go see what they got over there. But they got the Nebo Peak, they got all kinds of stuff. So the LaSalle is the bike that I've been riding lately, and that's their 170 bike, and it honestly climbs really well for a 170 millimeter bike. The Nebo Peak is their lightweight e-bike. That's the Fazua type motor. And then they have the Wire Peak, which is their shorter travel e-bike. And then the one I've been riding is the Temp Peak, which is just like the LaSalle I was just talking about. It's like a 170 bike, but also has a better motor than just me by myself. Anyways, they got everything they want there. If you're looking for a gravel bike or a short travel trail bike, something like the Delano Peak, that's the pink bike you might have seen on my Instagram. Lots of fun stuff. So swing over to aribikes.com, check them out. And if you don't want to spend that much money, but you feel like you got a little extra change, you can swing by tascostoke.com. They're wrapping up the year with one last sale. And so if you spend $50, save 20%. Save 25% if you save $100 or spend $100, save 25%. And if you spend $150, you can save 30%. And if you listen to this down the road and you're just like, man, I'm not going to catch that sale anymore, but I'm into saving money, use code B1KER and you'll save some money. So outside of that, Cali Protectives has been a long time supporter of the channel, and I'm always wearing their helmets because I really like them. I really like Brad from the founder of the company. Had him on an episode just a couple episodes ago if you want to know more about Cali like in depth. But usually I am wearing the Maya, and it's listed here as the Maya 3.0. It's only a $100 helmet, and you could use code B1Cali30, save yourself 30%. I've also ridden with the Cascade. It's a little bit of a cleaner looking helmet, and it's like super, they made it like super eco-friendly if you're into like recycled plastics and saving the world. So it's a little more expensive because of that, but it has kind of a POC look to it. That thing is, I think, oh man, I can barely see it from here. I got it on the screen too far away. Anyways, it's a little over $200. Or the other one that I've ridden lately that I've been into is the Interceptor. So all good stuff. Oh, I also use their full face helmet as well. The Invader is their lightweight XC one. Like I said a minute ago, B1 Cali 30, save 30%. And if you want to do any of that, guess what? No problem. What we'll do is just go ahead and get Casey on the line here, and we'll talk about bikes and stuff. What's up, Casey?
Yo, what's up?
Not much, man. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going really good. I'm kind of happy that we're on the backside of Christmas and kind of like
Yeah.
get over that get over that hump. It was really fun. Had a good, week and everything, but ready to move on from it and be a little more productive and get stuff done.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, it's really easy too to like get in this like mode of like, oh man, I'm just gonna take it easy and like not apply myself very much and drink all the drinks and eat all the junk food, and like you kind of start getting to a point after Christmas where you're like, okay, I'm ready to get to January and like start getting shit going, you know?
Right. Yeah. That's why everyone makes their New Year's resolutions because you're just like you're ready for it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're
Do
like,
you have
man, the
anything in
last
mind?
2 weeks have been brutal.
You have anything in mind for the new year that you think you're gonna do?
Dude, all the typical stuff, ride my bike more, lose weight, go to the gym more.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keep working and building the nonprofit and, taking time to to work on myself and yeah, kind of all
Yeah.
that type of stuff, typical stuff.
When you say take time to work on yourself, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's my physical health or mental health or um, ability to, find time to do things, just kind of I always love to kind of reset and everything leads up, through the year, and you start off fresh, and then you get busy, and you just keep trying at it, and then I always kind of just use the new year as that time to figure out new ways to do things, buy a new calendar, buy, stuff to help me stay proactive and, feel fresh and yeah, work on myself. Like mental health, physical health are kind of like my big things. And that plays into the nonprofit, and got to work on myself and, hopefully help others too.
Yeah, yeah. So you're here in Northern California, in the Sacramento area, like I am. Where are you from originally?
I'm from up here. Grew up,
Yeah.
yeah, grew up a little bit in Placerville and Sacramento area, and then
Hmm.
moved back here after I was in the Marine Corps for a little bit, and then moved back here, and just like the area, I like how you're close to the mountains and close to the ocean. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're a little biased. I mean, both of us live here, so we're like, yeah, no, this place doesn't suck.
Yeah,
What made you want to join the military?
man. I felt, I guess that calling when I was, late high school, maybe like when I turned 18, just that, yeah, calling wanting to serve, but also just kind of knowing that I maybe needed a little bit of a ass kicking to get me going. And,
Yeah.
and I just liked it. I liked the idea of it. And so I even got like my best friend to join with me too. And
Oh,
so,
you suckered him into it too?
oh yeah, yeah, we did it together. So it makes it a little bit easier, but, yeah, I don't know. I just felt that calling, wanting to kind of be part of something like that.
Uh-huh. What year was it when you joined?
2008.
Okay. So like the stuff was still going on in the desert over there then too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, everyone would say like, "Are you afraid you might deploy or something?" And I'm like, "I have no idea what's going to happen." But I was in on my first deployment to Iraq, like within being in the Marine Corps for less than a year. Like I was already deployed, and then did other deployments after that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't mess
happens.
around.
It was definitely going on, and yeah, you just go straight over it, pretty
Yeah,
much.
well, once you finish the training, right, you're ready to go.
Hmm.
At least that's what they tell you, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're still a kid.
Yeah, for sure. So you were just 18 when you first joined?
18, and I turned like 19. I think I turned 19 on the day I graduated boot camp.
Oh, right on.
Like a nice birthday present.
Yeah, I got my dog tags on my 18th birthday. So I went
Nice.
to basic, but I was still in, I don't know how they do it in the Marines, but like you're in like reception for a couple of days before you actually get to basic training.
Uh-huh.
And they're kind of treating you like shit, like you're in basic training, but not really, but you think it is. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this sucks. And then they're like, no, it's gonna get worse. You know, like,
Yeah, it's the moment where you go like, "Oh, what did I do?"
yeah, like they're in reception though, you're still like, yeah, I got this, dude, you
Right.
know?
I
But
mean, not in the
I mean
Marine
the
Corps.
first
It's never
and
easy.
not was that
Not in the Marine Corps. It's pretty crazy if you ever see, there's quite a bit of movies. I mean, from the moment you show up, you're just getting destroyed.
yeah, and they did that whenever we got to reception, but reception was still like while we were in reception, they were like measuring us for our uniforms and um like cutting your hair and all that kind of stuff and they're still like yelling at you and on you like they are in basic, but it was like when you actually go to basic from reception, that's like when you're in like the cattle cars and you're getting off and the drill sergeants are just fucking losing their shit on you. And
Yeah.
I mean, they did that a little bit at reception, but it was definitely like it was like they were like preheating you. You know what I mean? Like getting you ready
Yeah.
for what was about to happen.
Hmm.
Which was odd because at that, like I said, at that point for me, like it didn't really feel like shit, and there was already people that couldn't handle it, and I was like, dude, this is like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? What are you thinking? You know?
There's a lot of people, yeah, who can't handle it
Yeah,
in that, and that's when it's the most like aggressive is, during that boot camp time.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about yours. I was like, in the army, they had the infantry boot camp separate from the rest of the military or the rest of the branch, and I think like it was over half of the people that started weren't there at the end. Like it was it was that many people that like tapped out or got a medical or whatever their reason was, but it was definitely a lot. It was surprising too. I don't know about you, like I remember there was guys that you could tell they were like like they're all hula and like oh yeah, my dad was in the military and I was the quarterback for the football team and I'm freaking badass, and it would be like 3 weeks later they're sitting on guard with no shoestrings because they said they were going to kill themselves so they could go home, like
Yeah, that's definitely mixed in there. People react, differently in those type of situations.
yeah, you definitely don't know. So you where'd you go for training?
Boot camp out here in the West Coast, it's in San Diego.
Hmm.
And then from there, went to my schoolhouse, which was in Virginia Beach. That was pretty fun, kind of experience a new place. School was pretty hard. I was in intelligence, and so the schooling was like just jam packed of stuff I'd never heard of before, and
Hmm.
you just got to go through the school. I mean, it just picks up and goes and goes and goes, and yeah, I definitely was not the best at the schoolhouse. There was a lot of other nerds there that were pretty smart, but made it through
Did
that.
you know your job when you like signed up, or did they tell you that when you're after you're in basic?
Yeah, I knew the job. I knew I was going to be like an intelligence analyst. That's
Uh-huh.
kind of like the name of the job. But the part you don't know is what like unit you'll be at. And
Hmm.
that job really varies from unit to unit, kind of what you do, whether it's an infantry battalion or an air wing type of unit. I ended up being in like a drone unit. It's called
Hmm.
VMU-3, and we flew UAVs. So I did a lot of like imagery analyzing and a lot of video, um, stuff like that. It was a lot of map stuff, a lot of like route scans and following people. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So when you got out of school, you were in Virginia Beach for a while. Then where do you end up getting stationed at?
I was stationed in 29 Palms, California, and
Okay, so you were close to home then. You could like if you had like a 4-day pass or something, you could drive home and see your friends and stuff.
yeah, yeah. I think I don't know if it was like in that mile range to be able
Oh
to actually go, but I still went all the time. I mean, we would go sometimes when it was just a normal weekend. We would drive up. It's probably 8 9 hour drive. Not too bad.
yeah. Depending on how you put your foot on the gas, it definitely can be shorter. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was helpful for like, yeah, pre-deployment type of stuff where you're just getting in your last like 2 weekends of freedom before you leave for a while, just to be able to
Right.
drive up, to home and see friends and family and everything.
Right on, man. So, how long were you in?
I was in for a little under 5 years.
So that I'm assuming was probably your initial.
Yeah, just one enlistment.
Yeah, yeah. So then you said you were deployed a couple of times.
Yeah, I did one to Iraq and then two to Afghanistan. Yeah.
What was any of it like voluntary, or it was just like you had to go, just like it was your unit or anything like that,
Yeah,
or
yeah, you gotta go. Yeah, it was our unit. Yeah, they don't really ask you if you want to go or not. You're
yeah,
just
no, I mean they don't necessarily do that in the army either, but I was on a field exercise. We were doing a training thing with NATO in Belgium, and while we were there, they were like, "Hey, does anybody want to volunteer to go to Bosnia and be a door gunner?" And like you're a young kid and you're all freaking stoked about being a soldier or whatever, and they're like door gunner, and you're just thinking of like in the movies where they're just like da, 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 hanging out the side of a helicopter, and you're like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm in. So I volunteered to go to Bosnia the second time that I was down there, and yeah, we were not door gunners, put it that way. They definitely sold us. I did a lot more walking than I was expecting.
That sounds pretty right, pretty
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah. We did do a lot on the helicopters. We were in a cure. I wasn't like a quick reactionary force, but we weren't the door gunners. So we were just the freaking grunts jumping out and running everywhere. So, but right on, man. So then after 5 years, you get out and it's like, all right, what? You're just gonna go to school. You just decide you didn't want to reenlist. You're kind of over that.
Yeah, I was definitely over it. And just yeah, wanted to, I don't know, feel like normal or something again, have a little bit of freedom again and be able to make your own decisions, have your own house. And I just kind of looked around for work, ended up finding a pretty good job, and yeah, found a house to live in, and I was off
Yeah,
to the races.
yeah, yeah. So, how long were you out before you decided to get to a point where you're like, I want to do something for vets?
Pretty long time, yeah. I mean, I got out in 2013, so just maybe a little under 10 years. Maybe 8 years or so of kind of just working and doing things, and then had some stuff change in my life, and then that allowed me to start really thinking about, like, what do I want to do. I have a lot of interest in outdoors, and also kind of interest in marketing, or like creating a business. And so I started to, look at create. At first, I was like, I'm gonna start a business, and my first idea was like, to sell T-shirts or something like that.
Hmm.
But every time I put together like a couple of business plans, and every time I would do that, I would find myself wanting to like incorporate veterans somehow, and be like, all right, well, the T-shirts thing is really just to make money, so then I can actually do this stuff with veterans or something. And then it kind of finally clicked in my head, like, oh, maybe I should just focus on that part. Um, I'm really into mountain biking, hiking, backpacking, camping, being outdoors, like just recreation activities in general. And, wanted to share that type of stuff with other veterans here locally. And I knew just how powerful nature is, and being outside is to your mental health. And we have a lot of friends and brothers and sisters that need help or a support system. And yeah, definitely that's kind of what drove me to start putting ideas together for it.
So, like, you have basically your own kind of PTSD that you're working with on a regular, and as you were dealing with that, that made you feel more connected to like want to help others.
Yeah, yeah, it's all connected. It's all I think is kind of just a way I live live life in general, kind of wanting to share experiences with other people, or
Hmm.
I like being part of a group, or having multiple point of views and things. And I was riding my bike a lot, and really felt that I was feeling better when I would go on a mountain biking trip, um, and it just kind of, yeah, started going like, okay, well, if I feel better, if I feel good when I'm doing this, then other people should be doing this too. And then I just started looking around to see, what other groups or what other activities were around in this area. And it, yeah, kind of just formed into, all right, well, let's start something from scratch, and we can make it into something that, that works for the local area.
So what was it that like, as you're like thinking about these different business plans, and you, what was the reason that you felt like you kept like bringing it back to veterans? Was it because of like your, like the way that you felt about the people that you were in with, like you missed them and you wanted that camaraderie still, or do you think it was like you were seeing things happening to some of your friends that you were in units with or something like that, or
Yeah, yeah, all of that.
all of that? Yes.
It really sucks to see, veterans struggling, with their mental health, and a lot of veterans take their own lives, and it's just super, super sad and super upsetting. That maybe a better support system, or something similar, like to not just like going to one-on-one therapy with some random person or something, but
Hmm.
being with other veterans who are going through similar things, or have shared experiences, have been deployed to the same places, have had the same type of military experiences, can now relate to each other and find that camaraderie. And it's just, I mean, it's definitely a healing thing to go hang out with other people, sit around a campfire maybe, or go do a hard hike with each other. And it kind of brings you together, opens you up, allows you to maybe be vulnerable. Um, and yeah, I find being in nature just like the number one thing for me that's healing. And the number two thing is like hanging out with people. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I think that the way that you're trained in the military has a lot to do with, or potentially has a lot to do with like why people struggle with the problems that they have afterwards. Because I know, at least for me, in like in the infantry, like it was like very much shut the fuck up and drive on. So like no matter what was wrong with you, like bury it inside, shut up, and like keep doing what you're doing. And like, oh, this sucks, you better not say it out loud, because you, that's just going to make it suck more. So like, you know what I mean?
hmm
So you get this like this whole training, like there was things that were like I messed up my back when I was in basic training, and I never went to sick call ever. Like the only time I mentioned it was on my exit interview, where I was like, yeah, so my back's been hurting pretty much the whole time I've been here, and ever since this thing happened in basic training, it like clicks every time I do a sit up. But like, you never wanted to be that guy that would be like, oh, something's wrong, and because then you got to go to sick call, and you're like, air quote, broke, and like then you feel like you're a buddy fucker, because you're like, now your other buddy's got to do some shit that you're not doing, and then you feel like a bitch because you're like, oh, look, you got a profile, oh, look at Schumacher, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. So it's like really um a long training process of like, shut up and don't say anything. And I think that then when you get out, you still have all that same, at least I did, I had all that same like feeling, where it took me probably almost like 15 years of being out of the military before I ever went to talk to somebody about what was going on. And like, I probably still wouldn't have gone if it wasn't for my wife like um like I had like a panic attack, like a full on panic attack. And like it was probably like the worst one that I've ever had. But like and she's like, you can't like keep living your life like this. Like you need to go like talk to somebody, you know? She's like, I don't have the tools to tell you what to do. Like you need to go talk to somebody. And for me, like that was really tough to do. And then I remember I went to the VA and I'm like talking to this Vietnam vet, right? You know, because he's like helping you fill out your forms and shit. And he's like, so like what happened? You know, or like you want to talk about it? I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking tell you what happened. And then like he's like, oh yeah, let me tell you like what happened to me. And he's like, his story was like, I was like, I'm in the wrong place now. I need to leave, dude. Like this dude freaking went through some crazy shit, you know. But he was like, nah, man, it's like we all had our experiences, no matter what they are, and one way or another, like you're sitting here right now, so you're in the right place. And I think after I finally went and kind of went through that experience, it made me realize that like I need to share that like with other people, because there was a few people that were key to me getting there. Like my wife was one of them. There was another person that worked where I worked. She was in HR, and her husband was like one of the head guys of like California VA. And she started telling me about like benefits, where it was like, you know, if you got like a 0% rating, your kids could go to school for free in California. And I was like, huh? You know, and she's like, yeah, I mean, so like if anything happened to you ever, even if it's not affecting you still, you'll get a 0% rating. Your kids wouldn't have to pay for college. And I was like, well, that's a pearl. That's definitely, I could think about that. You know, like I know there's a bunch of shit that happens, so, you know, and I think, like I said, going through that stuff, it really made me feel like, okay, I need to like A, tell all my friends that I know are dealing with shit. And then B, like once I told all my friends, I was like, now I need to be able to tell other people too. And I think those are the reasons where I started feeling like I wanted to do more for vets, because I never really thought about it until after I like went through all of that, you know, personally, because it, um, like in the infantry, like everybody else is not in the infantry is just a pogue, you
Mhm.
know. So like in my mind, it'd be like, it took me a few years before I was like, even like, yeah, everybody else is a pogue, man. They're not in the infantry, dude. So
Yeah.
like, and then like, then after a couple of years, I remember being like, nah, dude, this guy was in the military. He signed his name on the line just like me or her, you know, and like, yeah, they get the same respect, you know. But there was definitely a few years where I said that everybody gets the same respect, but in the back of my mind, I was still like, fucking pogue. But yeah, no, later then it was like I just realized that it's like I really just want to help as many people as I can with whatever it is. And if it's just like sharing my own story, because I'm pretty open about things. But I know other people aren't, you know. Some people don't have as many words
Yeah.
to say.
And it takes a long time to, for some people to even get to that. Like you just said, it took a long time to get to that point. And and everyone is different. Everyone handles situations different. Everyone, maybe has that like final like panic attack or that final like breakdown at different times. And yeah, I mean, mine was like probably like it's like 4 years ago now. It's like a lot of people deal with it too, like where like if you maybe like left your job or something like that, like it would be nice and it would help you out. But you're like, well, I can't leave my job because that's how I, pay for rent. That's how I get food. And then you feel like you're just stuck and it just like piles up and everything. And so that was kind of like my freeing moment was like finally deciding like, all right, I'm going to leave this job I'm doing and figure myself out and
Hmm.
trust that I'll be able to figure it out and find things that interest me and take care of take care of my mental health and kind of get through this and, talk to people and, be open about it. And that was kind of like that bubble that I bursted and allowed me to, really start to, yeah, pursue things like this. And at first it was just pursuing it for myself
Yeah.
and trying to take care of myself. And I still am, every day, every week, still trying to, work on my mental health. And I do think a little bit of it is helping others, really helps out, or hearing other people's stories and kind of working through it together.
Yeah, I think just hearing other people like have similar thoughts, you know, and it normalizes it a little bit more. And then you don't just necessarily think it's like just you like kind of running amok in your brain, and you start hearing enough other people that have been through similar experiences and or experiences, and like you're like, all right, well that dude's talking about it, and I haven't really thought about it, but now I'm willing to say something. But like I think um that camaraderie of another person that was in the military, it really helps. And I think that's one of those things that whenever I went to your mountain biking event, it was really apparent how much it helps. There was multiple people that weekend that said like, this is the most fun I've had in years. And it wasn't like we were like having some like crazy like amazing like party, and there's live bands and just like a wild time and an amazing place. We were like in a campground in the middle of the woods, like sitting around a fire, just really talking shit to each other. And it was like talking shit to each other the way that you do when you're in a unit, and you can like you just say whatever comes to your mind, and if it's fucked up, like you say it. And some people that have a fucked up sense of humor, they'll laugh too, and some people that don't, they won't. And some people will laugh but only inside. And but it was like really quick where we had multiple disciplines of different armed forces that people were in, and we were all like pretty quick busted each other's chops, and everybody's just having a good time. And you would have thought that we all knew each other for a really long time.
Yeah.
And realistically, I mean, I think all of us talked about it, or a handful of us talked about it, like before we even went. We're all like, maybe I won't go today, and even you, a person who was like setting it up, was like, man, I don't know if I want to go, like,
Yeah, there's always that like pre-event nervousness or uncomfortableness that, it kind of it just like it like fucks with you. You're like, oh, I don't want to do it, and I'm not gonna know anyone. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be hard. And a lot of people can just talk themselves out of it. I mean, every event we do, we get a lot of cancellations like the night before, the morning of. And I
mm-hmm.
know most of those are like it's that feeling where you're just like too overwhelmed to like put yourself out there and be a part of a group that you don't know.
Yeah,
But like you said, we all, I mean, now we could all have a conversation now with everyone who was there. Like we've known each other for a long time, and we could all go mountain biking together. We could all go camping together. And a handful of people from that trip even came to like our surfing trip, and we, developed those relationships more. And in the end, it's super fun. And I mean, I do it with almost everything. I'm nervous before, and then afterwards, I'm like, you just feel like on cloud nine. You're like, oh, that was awesome. I accomplished that. It was great, and you feel good for a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that especially as the person that's setting it up. So we haven't really talked about what you set up. So what is it that you decided to do for veterans then?
Yeah. It's funny that we haven't talked about it yet.
We'll get
Yeah.
there.
So it's called Disconnect to Reconnect. If we haven't even said that, I don't know if we have or not.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's just getting veterans outdoors in the nature, doing fun things, whether it's hiking, mountain biking, camping, using nature as like a healing therapy, to help other guys and girls who are either going through it or just need a support group or just want to maybe even just want to learn how to mountain bike, or learn how to do something, but don't have the means, don't have a mountain bike to go out and do stuff, or don't have the equipment. Um, I love the idea that we can raise money through the community and then be able to, have that equipment ready for veterans to come and do things. The weekend we've been talking about is the we did a camp out in June, and we had support, from like Mike's Bikes, and they helped get some electric bikes. And then we had support from the Cali Protectives, and they got us some like helmets and knee pads and stuff. So that allowed us to get, a handful of riders. There was like 5 or 6 new riders that had never ridden a mountain bike before. A couple people showed up with like old trail bikes that like might be good on pavement, but not on the Nevada City trails. And we're like, luckily we have a bike for you because that will not work.
Yeah, because we
And
had a handful of e-bikes, I had a handful of analog bikes, and then
yeah,
like you said, the gear as well, because some of the people were like, "Oh, I don't have a helmet or
yeah, or
gloves,"
had
even,
like a helmet that's just not safe, and
Yeah.
because it's one of those things. It's part of the if you don't mountain bike, then you don't have a mountain biking helmet, and so you might go in your garage and grab what you have. Um, Someone brought on a ride once, like an old infantry like helmet, and we're like, "That's." I think it weighed like 8 pounds. We're like, "That is not gonna work
Like a
for
Kevlar?
mountain biking."
Oh,
Yeah, a
Lord.
Kevlar helmet.
Oh, man, that would
Um,
suck to ride in. It sucked just to walk in.
yeah. And so just providing that stuff to the people who don't have it so they could get out and go have fun. And so we were riding those trails, and it was, you and me, and then someone who had never ridden before because they're on an e-bike and they could keep up, and they're seeing these trails that they've never been to before because they don't mountain bike. They don't see that there's a whole community that, goes out week in, week out, and like shapes the trails and builds them, and provides this space for people to go recreate and have fun. And so it's a huge like honor to be able to put an event like that on so people can go do something that they're not ever going to do, or maybe it's just hard to do for, if they don't have friends that mountain bike already. Or And it kind of goes across everything we do, whether it's camping. Oh, I don't have a tent. We were able to get like 4 people tents for that trip, and now they have a space to stay. They don't have, it's another excuse someone might have, right? Oh, I can't go. I
Mm,
don't have a tent. We got a tent for you. Just come out. We got a
mhm.
bike for you. We got a helmet for you. We got pedals for you. And just come out and have fun. And then it led to, we had great food. We barbecued, had really good food. And then just sat around a campfire. And like you said, learned everyone's stories, talked, shared stories. Um, whether you were talking about like your family or your kids, or your where you were stationed, or what kind of mountain bike you have, it's just good conversation, and it really emphasizes, you know, that weekend, the friendship
Mhm.
part, the camaraderie part. You had fun. The mountain biking is so much fun, especially as a new rider, and then it's all
Especially as a new
downhill.
rider on the e-bike, you're like, "Oh my god, there's
Yeah,
nothing that
this
sucks."
is this is so easy. I climbed
Right,
4,000 feet today.
right. Yeah, I remember the one guy, there was one person, I don't even remember, there was a guy there that was adaptive, like he was missing his leg from the knee down.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was him or this other person, but I remember we got to the top of the first climb. And like at that point, like the climb that I'm talking about was a couple of miles over, several hundred feet of elevation. And I remember we got up there, and then I was like, "So, like, how you like an e-bike?" And they're like, "Oh, it's great." I'm like, "So you like changing the gears and stuff?" And they're like, "What gears?" I was like, "What do you mean, what gears?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I was just pedaling." And I was like, "Oh
I
my
was
god."
in the smallest cog the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, no wonder you're freaking. We're because I was riding analog that day, and I remember just like busting my ass, and to like try to like keep a good pace, and it was like dude, no wonder these guys are freaking rocking up the hill. It's like in
Yeah.
the 10 tooth, just out of the saddle, just smashing this e-bike up in turbo.
Yeah, and they had a smile on their face, which is,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the best part of it.
So so when you came to the point where you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this nonprofit, what where do you start at that point? You just get on Google or you start talking to some of your buddies and you're like,
Yeah,
see if anybody
Goo
else is interested.
Google and YouTube,
Hmm.
and, yeah, I mean, it was even kind of like a culture shock almost for a little bit, just, oh, to start a nonprofit, there's a lot of rules and regulations and things you gotta do to be legal, and processes you have to go through and applications that you have to go through. It's not just as simple as going like, I had this idea, now I'm going to collect money and make it happen. And so, yeah, I spent a long time researching and figuring it out, and was able to work with someone where we created maybe like 10 steps that I wrote down on a whiteboard. And I had to do each step before the next one was even possible to do, and just slowly checked them off and slowly, did each part of it to where, we became like an actual nonprofit and legal, and a business in California, and then at that point it was like game on. Okay, let's figure out how to like now do the thing. We're now like, and we are a thing now, but let's figure out how to actually get people involved and figure out how we're going to raise money, and be able to actually do it.
So when you get started, like, does it cost anything, or is it really just like free to set it up, or how,
It
what?
costs a little bit. Everything has fees.
Hmm.
Right. Everything has a fee. And you have to, get like insurance and things like that. So in the beginning, I had to spend some money to get through those steps,
Hmm.
until we were finally able to do like some fundraising.
Hmm. And that was there steps along that way where you're like, this is just too much, or were you pretty driven through that?
Yeah, I mean, I was driven for sure. The One of the tough ones is like you have to write bylaws, and I mean, it's like a super legal document that controls the whole board of directors. You have to get a board of directors and then sign these bylaws into whatever, sign them up and
Into law.
sign them into law. And you're like, is this like real? Am I really like doing it? I had to do a lot of research, and I was able to get a lot of feedback from people. And there was a guy who really helped me out and like shared some like examples with me and stuff. Um, but yeah, the bylaws is a tough one to kind of figure out, and then you have to create a board of directors, and that's actually probably the hardest part, because now you're trying to find people who will dedicate their time and energy to those bylaws, to supporting the nonprofit. And you have to do you got to do meetings and everything like that.
Yeah. So how often do you guys have to meet?
You have to meet like a couple times a year, by law, but my goal for this year is to hopefully do it monthly. Last year is kind of more closely to quarterly.
Hmm.
Um, we're working on kind of extending the board of directors now, and bringing in a couple new faces with new ideas,
Hmm.
and that should be pretty fun.
Right on, man. So what do you what all do you guys do? So obviously you go mountain biking. You mentioned hiking and skiing. What else? What other events have you done?
Let's see. Hiking is a big one. The last couple years, we've done a lot of group hikes. We encourage veterans to bring like their spouses or friends or family or something, and just meet up at different trails and all over Northern California, and just kind of go for a hike. Some of the hikes are easy. Some of the hikes are a little tougher and longer. Usually, those ones have the best views, though. And let's see, skiing, snowshoeing. We got snowshoeing coming up. I'm looking to do it like February 1st or something.
Hmm.
And snowshoeing is more fun than it should be, I think. I've always been interested in it, and when we did it for the first time last year, it was just a blast. Kind of, it gives you that opportunity to get out into like the backwoods with all the snow, and you can't really walk out there without being on skis or snowshoes.
Yeah.
And it's so peaceful. It's like silent when you get out there with all the snow. There's no noise. There's no even like when you're walking. There's no noise, and it's a different experience. Snowshoeing is definitely really cool.
Yeah, we did the unit I was in, we would do cold weather training in the Arctic Circle. And even with the like lousiest gear you could possibly buy, because that's what the military buys,
Yeah,
like even with that, like essentially they were like tennis rackets just like strapped to our feet. And like even with that, it was still like a really fun experience. And I agree with you, it was more fun than I expected it to be, because at that point in my life, I had been skiing a handful of times, so like I knew that I enjoyed downhill skiing, and but I didn't think that I would like the snowshoeing, and actually
yeah,
had we had so much fun because you can go anywhere, you know, and so yeah, it was really fun.
yeah. It's definitely more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah, yeah,
And then, yeah, always trying to figure out skiing. I just started skiing a couple years ago, so still getting better, and would love to incorporate it more and be able to maybe host veterans kind of like up at a cabin or something for a while. Um, what else?
yeah. So
Yeah,
that'd be really similar to like the mountain biking thing, where it would be like get a big Airbnb that can sleep a bunch of people, and then get the
yeah,
passes for everybody, and they get rental if they need it. And
yeah. And then you go ski all day, and you have a blast, and you push yourself, and you're tired at the end of the day, and you come home to freaking. I love food, so come home and cook a great meal, and
yeah,
be able to hang out and just talk and share stories and laugh about things. Usually, funny stuff happens throughout the day too. Whether you like eat shit or crash or you do something like that, but
yeah,
it gives you that opportunity to kind of catch up and do that. So that's big on my list. And whether or not we do it this year, it definitely just it's like something I'm thinking about quite a bit.
yeah. What does it take for somebody that wants to be like involved as a participant? What do they have to do?
Jump in on the website, and there's like a sign up form on there that gets you into like the mailing list. And then we have our Facebook, and we have our private Facebook group that we post everything in. We're hosting like all the mountain bike rides this year in there, and it's really just being plugged in, whether it's through email or Facebook, Instagram, so you can see what's coming up, and then signing up for it. Whether you're
So then
interested.
once there's an event, it's posted to the website, and then at that point you have to like sign up for that specific event.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm working on like most of the year. I'm trying to like knock it all out in the next few weeks. And so I'd say probably by mid to late January, like the whole year of events will be on the website and kind of look through it. And our goal is to probably run events this year from January, or might be like February 1st through like October or so.
Right. So another friend of mine that's a veteran that also came to the mountain biking event. We've been talking with Casey, and we were talking about trying to set up some monthly rides. So whereas before he would have the mountain biking event that he was doing, that would be more like an annual thing, because it's a bit of fundraising to pay for all that for all those people. But my other friend and I were like, hey, let's do some like just monthly rides, and we'll help out with that. So this year, then what we were talking about is basically every second Saturday we're going to have a ride, and we're going to try to go through like different disciplines and different difficulties. So maybe it'll be a beginner mountain bike ride, or maybe it'll be a intermediate gravel ride, or maybe it'll be a upper intermediate mountain bike ride, and so we're going to try to do a bunch of different ones, but it'll always be the second Saturday. So at this point, I've put it in my calendar for every second Saturday between January and December of 2025. So once it's in my calendar, shit's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're
if you want
booked
to know
now.
where we're riding and what we're actually going to be doing, then that's when you need to be plugged into either the Facebook group or the website itself. You're
Yeah.
making individual events on the website for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then yeah, easiest is like the Facebook and because then you'll see every post on there. And then we can also set up in like the group, we can set up like a group chat. So anyone who's going to the ride can, if maybe you need a ride or maybe you need a helmet or something, you can just post in there and be like, hey, does anyone live in Roseville that's going and have an extra bike or something? That conversation can then happen in that group so that
Mm-hmm.
other people can help support and all the information's on there.
Yeah, because the idea is like obviously there's going to be people there that have experience that just want to come, but the other idea is to get people out that have never done it before, and that's like key as well, at least for the beginner rides. Obviously we're not going to have
Yeah.
the expert mountain bike ride or the 3,000 feet of climbing for the beginner ride, but then we'd be able to get those people as well. And the one thing I do want to say is that when you go to Facebook and you search Disconnect to Reconnect, there's a lot of groups with that name. And so if you're listening to this, I have the link to the Disconnect Reconnect page in Facebook, but there's also then the Disconnect to Reconnect group. And the group is also linked below in the description. So whether you're listening to the podcast or on YouTube, it's just in the description of the video, and all those links are there. So definitely go check them out so that you're familiar with like which one. Some people don't use Facebook, so if you don't use Facebook and you don't want to, sweet, just go to the website and sign up there.
Yeah. It's sometimes it ends up getting hard when someone's like, but I'm not on Facebook. And I'm like, all right, well, I have the information in many places and you might have to figure out where you're going to get it from.
Yeah, because it's not as easy to post that stuff on Instagram. I mean, you can post a picture on Instagram that has
It's
like
really hard on Instagram because you can't, have a post with a link. And if you
yeah,
could, it kind of defeats the purpose of Instagram at that point. But,
yeah,
um, we have like, in the bio, we have like a link tree and everything's in there that you can click through. But yeah, the Facebook group, like the private group is called like D2R events. And so that's where like anything that's regarding an event will be, whether it's just a group ride on a second Saturday, or if it's, the big surfing trip or something. And then you can like post pictures or videos or share your thoughts in there. And, that kind of helps grow that community a little bit too. And then after something, maybe you've kind of, or you want to connect with someone else who is there, you can see them in the Facebook group.
right on. So I also wanted to mention that on the group rides that we're doing, the group rides are open to anybody that wants to come, and whether you're a veteran or you just want to support some veterans or you're a first responder, like it doesn't matter. Like it's open to anybody, but it's the events that he puts on that are paid for the veterans, like the surfing or the golfing or the mountain biking trips, so to speak. Those are actually restricted to veterans only.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to tell someone you can't go do a free thing. But and there's a plus to it. I was kind of talking about it with the hiking stuff too. Like if you're new to the group, it's much easier to maybe come with your friend or come with your spouse. Or if you like say you mountain bike a lot with your wife, then like come with your wife. You guys can, it's something you share together. You'll feel more comfortable, and then that gives you that opportunity to meet the other people who are there. Maybe a year from down the road, you're not coming to every event with your wife or something, but it at least gets you um, into the rides, into the hikes, and it's a big part of feeling comfortable is maybe bringing someone you're comfortable with that you can have conversation with, or um, like last year, my wife Haley came to a lot of the hikes, and but the year before that, she didn't come to any of them. I almost kind of didn't really invite her either, but I started having her come to the hikes, and it was like it was amazing. Like, she's a better communicator than I am, first off. And so, like, starting conversations with other people there, she's super sweet and she helps out. And it's like, okay, so now I see what the benefit of having her there is. So I know that someone else who wants to bring their wife or friend or kid or something, that like it just really kind of helps you feel comfortable. And they bring, they obviously love that person for a reason, and they now get to kind of share that with everyone else. And I think it is helpful in a lot of cases.
Right, right. So, tell me how the surfing event came to be. How, I mean, are you a surfer?
Not a surfer. Billy, who is on the board of directors, he is a um, he is a surfer, or he went through a surfing program, like a veteran surfing program called Operation Surf, a handful of years ago, and it like changed his life. That was like his thing, that we were talking about. You finally have like your breakdown and you need support or need help, and that surfing trip was like his eye-opening experience, and it completely changed his life. And so now he surfs with a group out of Santa Cruz called the Veteran Surf Alliance. And it's the same stuff we're doing, just surfing specific. It's the idea of helping other people through that activity. And so he was like, I want to be on the board of directors, but what we have to do is a surfing trip. And I'm like, all right, sounds great. And, it just took some time to kind of coordinate it and be able to be on the same page as the VSA. And, because they ran it for us pretty much. They provided the equipment, they provided like a safety team and instructors, and we just brought a whole group of veterans, and everyone just got dressed and got aboard and then went and learned how to surf. It takes all that like responsibility off yourself, and you just have to like listen. And the the girl who was instructing me, she would even like push me into a wave, so you barely even have to like paddle into the wave. You just get pushed and then go try to catch a wave, and you have a great time. But yeah, the surfing is great, and it's all because of Billy. He definitely knew that would be a fun event, and it was.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, I mean, it you have a bunch of different things. So if like surfing doesn't sound fun to you, or mountain biking doesn't sound fun to you, like hiking could possibly be the thing. I know you did like a golf fundraiser not too long ago too.
Yeah, yeah. I think my wife says like I'm just into too many things, and I think that's part of why I want to do all these different events. It's like I have something for every activity. In my garage, I'm like, oh, you want to go play pickleball? Sounds good. You want to go camping?
Yeah.
Sounds good. You want to go biking? Sounds good. You want to play disc golf? Sounds good. And so I just love everything outdoors, and um, yeah, I want to be able to provide those type of experiences with other people, and other people, like you said, yeah, might not be into mountain biking or go like hiking. I would never go walk on purpose. Like, what is that? Why would I even do that? And so, like maybe some people want more extreme things, or some people want more low key things to do out in nature. And so just kind of being able to provide different things throughout the year that people can try out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also
So
challenge people to get out of the comfort zone and do things.
so how do you go about funding this?
By fundraising. The local community really, I live in Orangeville, and started off with like the Orangeville Chamber brought us in on a fundraiser event. And I remember it was like our first fundraiser event. This is a few years ago now. And at the end, they gave us like a check for like, I think it was like $3,000. And I just like started crying because like no expectations of that. I hadn't yet figured out really how to pursue fundraising, and suddenly I was just able to be gifted that money, and then that kind of gets you going. Like, all right, well, let's go on to the next thing, and it kind of just is. It's always been so far. It's just been people, restaurants, friends and family who help put things together, and the golf tournament's been a big thing, and um, the help through like the people who come and play out the golf tournament and the sponsors for that. It all definitely makes a huge difference.
Right on, man. So what do you like? Do you just decide like, hey, we're gonna do a car wash, or we're gonna like I don't even know. Like, how do you decide like to do an
Man,
event?
I
You know what I
I've
mean?
been flying by the seat of my pants for all of that. That's like it's all just when an opportunity comes up, I'm like, sounds good. Let's do it. And if anything, I definitely need to this year. It's one of my goals to get better at it, and get our nonprofit in front of more people and be able to raise money in different ways, whether it's through online donations or at in-person things, um, or setting up stuff with local restaurants or other local entities that want to support veterans. It's kind of yeah. I mean, it's not something I have any training in or any
Mhm.
experience in, so it's been just figuring it out as it happens. Just, all right, how are we going to do this? And I've definitely been super lucky so far with being able to get put in front of the right people and work with some really cool people.
So if you do something at like a restaurant or like a brewery or something, it's like if anybody comes in and buys that beer, then it's like a donation towards it, or is it like a specific
Yeah,
night, anybody that buys a meal there then, or like how does
yeah,
that work?
exactly. Yeah, we did something at a brewery I used to work at, Big Sexy Brewing Company, and we just had some music going and played some games. I brought like my disc golf basket out and like had people like try to make it in the basket, and then if you made it in the basket, the brewery would like donate a shirt to them or something, right?
Hmm.
And we raised like a few $100 just in an afternoon at the brewery, and then you're like, okay, cool. Recently we did like a chili cook-off at a local restaurant called Jan's Lounge, and they put on the whole thing and just said, hey, you want to come by and we'll do a chili cook-off, and whatever money we raise, can go to you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all sorts of stuff that really people want to help out and want to donate. So it's just kind of getting our name in front of people and saying yes to everything, and then also growing from those things. So like the chili cook-off was super easy for me, but more work on their end to put it together and everything. And it was kind of put together pretty quick, but it's like, okay, I know that it was super fun, and chili is super good, and everyone, you just show up and pay like $10, and then you get to try all the chili that's there or something.
Hmm.
It's not like crazy difficult, and you get something out of it as a guest. Um, so now, that's in my mind. Like, okay, let's work with Jan's Lounge again and do a chili cook-off, and now we can just make it maybe a little bit bigger or promote it a little bit more and get more people there. Every
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
every year we grow, and those ideas kind of solidify more. And but yeah, I'm still learning how to do it.
I like how you said earlier, you were just like, hey, if somebody comes up with an idea, I'm in. So
Yeah.
after doing the mountain bike trip with you, I really saw that there was a need for you to have like your own fleet of bikes, so to speak, instead of just like totally relying on some other company to be able to come out, and whether or not they have demo bikes or they have them in different sizes or whatever. So what I started talking to you about was setting up a fundraiser so that we could actually try to raise money for you to be able to buy an e-bike in like basically one in each size. So like small, medium, large, extra large. And then that way you would have these bikes no matter what the event was. So that way, if it's an event in March that we're doing a ride, a beginner ride, then you'd have those four bikes that you could take people that four people that may not have any kind of bike or any kind of skills would have. You would have the stuff. So the same thing went with like all the things that you got donated, like safety wise from like Cali. Like you have extra helmets now, and you have extra gloves now, and so that way you can start to try to build some things. But you don't have bikes, is what you don't have, and that's what I'm going to like personally commit to trying to help you with is that fundraiser. So anybody that is listening and is curious about helping out Disconnect to Reconnect, there is a link below for an EMTB fundraiser. So that money will only be spent on this e-bike fundraiser that we're trying to do. So if you don't really care about it going straight to an e-bike to get other mountain bike or other people into mountain bike or other veterans into mountain biking, then you can just go to the website and donate there. But if you want to try to help out and us try to raise money to get some different bikes for some vets to get on to be able to be part of this, then he's going to run that fundraiser there on his website. There's a link of it or a link for it in the description of the podcast or the show. And I'm going to do a video here shortly that goes over like what we did in the camping trip, and then also talk about the fundraiser there as well. But essentially throughout the year, I'm definitely going to be talking about this. So those of you guys that listen to the podcast, it'll be another one of those things that happens at the beginning of the show that you get to listen to. But I'm really passionate about this. And I think what I saw happen that weekend, it was really impressive. Like there were some people there that were like, I actually don't talk to anybody normally, and I don't know how I talked myself into coming, but I did, and this was like amazing for me. And that sounds like I'm just like making that shit up, because honestly, like if somebody just said that to me, I'd be like, whatever, dude, you're just trying to get people to go to this thing or give you money or whatever. But no, it really was like that, and it was surprising. Like I said, it was multiple people that said it was the most fun that they've had in a long time, and there was also multiple people that were like, yeah, I usually don't talk to anybody. I go to work, I like minimally talk to who I work with, and other than that, I talk to my spouse, and I don't do anything. And it was really surprising, to see that person there in front of us, like on their own, and then on the other hand, that they were like just had such a good time. And there was some of those people were people that rode mountain bikes, and they were like, yeah, I just ride by myself. And some of those people were people that like never were on a bike, or on a mountain bike for that matter. So everybody knew how to ride bikes. At least we didn't have to teach anybody how to ride bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So nonetheless, what would it mean for you to have a fleet? What would that do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the most important part. Um, the act getting on the bike and going and riding is what, brings everyone together on those trips. And it's possible to, find rentals and, find donations like what we got. It takes quite a bit of work, and I mean, I think it took us months of like conversations and everything, and ended up working out great. But just having um, our own stock of bikes, that when someone sends you a message or something like, I want to join, but I don't have a bike, that is there's no barrier at all. And you just can say, let's go,
Yeah.
come ride this bike. And then having them be e-bikes is just, just as important, because it takes fitness. It takes pretty good fitness to go ride, um, a trail system that you might have to climb up 2 or 3 times. I mean, there in like Nevada City, if you ride 3 trails, you're gonna at least climb 1,200 feet, 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a solid day for a lot
yeah,
of people.
for someone
And I think
who has never ridden before, that's almost like impossible.
even
And
if you were just to go to do like shuttle people, like let's say you went to Auburn and you like shuttled people on, well, connector doesn't end on it. Like you can't get out of connector without climbing, but let's just say connector was one that like you could do without climbing. Like even at that, it's still like a physical trail. There's people that don't ride bikes at all that are like, yeah, my first mountain bike ride, I rode 2 miles. And it's like, well, that trail's 3 miles long. You know, it's definitely there's some aspect to it. And I think that having the e-bikes is really it cuts out another barrier. You know what I mean? Like that physical, like the
Yeah.
amount of fitness that you need to be in, like, is a big
And
barrier for
and
mountain bike.
sometimes it's not just fitness, it's the I have, like Thomas who came I'm missing a leg,
Yeah.
I have knee issues, I have back issues, I have a heart condition, whatever it is that would be a barrier that wouldn't allow someone to just go ride mountain bikes. The e-bike can eliminate a lot of that. And it allows you to go on those same trail systems, that that weekend we were riding, it's like we had advanced riders and brand new riders riding the same trails, different speeds for sure, but still getting to the top, seeing the views, seeing the trails, getting to the bottom, smile on your face, and then climbing out and not being completely wasted. I think most of the guys though were still pretty tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even the people that are even riding the e-bikes, I mean,
Yeah.
they were still like, I remember I ride a lot, and I remember thinking like, oh, these guys are on e-bikes, we're gonna be fine. And it was like we did a lap or two, and they were like, okay, I'm good to go back. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, and
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was because as a mountain biker, it's easy to forget oh yeah, I forgot my first ride when I just did that one loop. Like that was a big day, and it was like, man, we're done, you
Yeah.
know. And so even with the motor, it's still a bit of work. And I think it's also like stressful for people, like that don't know how to ride. Like, it's stressful that when you see all these other people that just know what they're doing, and then B, you're like, man, I'm just afraid to like go down this hill, let alone like sit, like get out of the saddle, you know.
Yeah.
And or they're like never been on a bike with a dropper, so they're like, I don't know, like I'm trying to work this thing, this motor's taking off on me, I got to use these brakes, so there's definitely a lot to it. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, the next one that we do, the next like camping trip kind of thing, I think we really need to do a better job of like a little skills clinic kind of
Yeah.
before we get started.
Yeah. I think definitely.
Yeah, because we were kind of winging it, like I had met Casey before that event. He had came to another veterans event that I was at. And then we started talking to each other on this one, and I told him that I would help out. So it was like, okay, well, we had all these ideas of how things were going to go, but then you get there and you're just like in the moment. You're like, okay, you get a bike, and you get a bike, and you get a helmet, and you get a helmet, and now let's go. And then it was like, I definitely realized that we were kind of on the trail, like giving people pointers as we were going along. And I think if we actually like did something a little bit more structured right at the beginning, that probably would have
Yeah.
helped some of those people know that there was gears before they climbed all the way up the first hill.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Learning
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. But I think it would be fun too, like with having the e-bikes, like even maybe people that do have a little bit of experience and maybe don't have the endurance to do a bigger ride, that they could then potentially like, hey, I'm not really like able to go climb to the top of Toads and come back down on my own, because that's a big ride and it's at elevation, and all I have is an analog bike. But on an e-bike, it's like, oh, well, actually, yeah, I could do that on an e-bike. So it'd be even for people that were able, like, are technically maybe able to ride a trail, but like physically just don't have the stamina for that. That would open up doors for them as well. So I think that overall, that was one of the reasons that when I started talking to Casey about doing this fundraiser, I was like, I just see there's so many benefits for it. And, it would be really great to have a bunch of analog bikes, but I think that e-bike portion of it just really it opens up so many more doors than the way it could be with analog bikes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I even had a e-bike for that camping weekend, and it changed my life that weekend.
Yeah.
I was riding nonstop. I could ride the whole weekend. I think I rode like it was like 66 miles. The bike said at the end. It was like I do not feel like I rode that much this weekend, but
Yeah, but it's the same workout, dude.
yeah,
I'm talking shit now because I just like to do that, but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's a really good
You gotta get
time.
over the
I think
hurdle of.
was that.
So you gotta. Some people definitely got to get over the hurdle of like that is cheating to ride a e-bike. I mean, it is, but if you enjoy getting outdoors and mountain biking is not your primary thing, it's definitely hard to stay in like good enough shape to, just be able to go out and ride, like you said, like go ride toads or something. It's just, unless you're riding a lot, those type of things become pretty difficult.
Yeah, there's definitely trails, especially like in Tahoe, where skill set wise, they're not necessarily like super hard, but what really becomes hard is the climbing and the elevation.
Hmm.
And that's the spots where like, man, you could just really open up some doors for people to be able to go to some of those types of places and really have a good time. I think that'd be really rad. So I'm excited to see like if we could hit this goal. So like the idea at this point was what, 4 or 5 bikes. I think it was 5 bikes total. So we're thinking, just judging on the way that you can get a decent e-bike around 5 grand, we're thinking we need to raise about $25,000.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
Yeah.
how we do that was going to start is just like with this fundraiser and talking about it as much as we can and sharing it with friends. So I'll be making like some Instagram posts, and so will Casey through D2R. But when you see those things come up, even if it's maybe not maybe you're not going to donate, maybe share it with your friends and give us the opportunity to get in front of more people.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a big part. Just getting in front of as much people as we can. Um, I think it'll be good though. I think we'll, have fun with it, especially doing like the monthly rides and leading up to, we'll do a camp out again this year. I think
So
it'll
at
be
this
good.
point, you have the location for next year's camp out. Where are you doing?
We're gonna do the camp out up at Everstoke.
Right on. So Aaron, who is a part owner of Everstoke, is also a crayon eater. So he was
Yeah.
in the Marines, just like Casey. So you guys got a little something in common there.
Yeah. Yeah. The place is awesome, and it's that whole area, like in Gray Eagle, is really cool. And close access to trails there on the property, but also some other stuff we can go out and do. So it should be pretty fun.
So you were thinking about making that a more than mountain biking event, is what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, come on. I think it'd be cool to do other stuff too. And like we were talking about earlier, there's some people go like, I would love to go to this camp out, but I really don't want a mountain bike, or I'm actually like 60 years old and I'm not mountain biking anymore, and I want to just camp with other veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have a spot and we can camp, then yeah, come out and we can figure other stuff out. There's some good fishing in the area. There's some good hikes up to some viewpoints in that area. I think regardless,
Yeah,
there'll be some good stuff to do.
yeah. If you go in that area over kind of in between Mills Peak and Mount Elwell, like even if you don't hike up to the peak, like there's just some phenomenal views of the lakes that are back in there. It's just like
Hmm.
it takes some effort to get back there, but it's definitely you don't have to get all the way to the top to like feel like you really accomplished something there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite places. That whole area. Is that still like Sierra Buttes right there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely feel like you've disconnected in that area. And um And it also allows people, like, to come from, like, different parts of Northern California too, and,
Hmm.
I mean, we have people coming from even, like, Reno all the way out towards, like, Santa Cruz. There's people who are coming
I want to
to.
say there were some people at the camping event that were from Southern California. Like I know there were some people like Fresno ish area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like, more
Yeah,
like Central California stuff, yeah.
yeah, that's southern to me. Anything below Stockton, Southern California. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's far away, for a
mhm,
weekend trip, um, but, yeah, I mean, that's why it's super cool just to get people coming out for multiple day trips. Someone like that might not be able to come up here for just one of the group rides in the morning or something, but,
yeah.
they can take the time to come out for, like, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday trip.
Hmm. What? How many events do you try to do throughout the year?
Still working that out for sure.
Hmm.
Last year we did, um, like 3 to 4, like, bigger things, like this camp out and the surf trip, and then had hikes, like, mixed in. This year, the camp out will be one of the bigger events. We're working on scheduling surf trip, but trying to just stay, at least especially with mountain biking stuff happening every second Saturday, those type of things happening monthly, the ability where you could just get out with some other veterans at least monthly, and then
Hmm.
those big, like, weekend things, maybe like 3 to 4 of them throughout the year.
Hmm.
My goal is to add in backpacking this year too. Finally, it's been something I've been
Like a
wanting to.
backpack, like you hike to somewhere and then camp out and
Yeah.
then hike back or whatever. Or
Yeah, yeah. Just get out into the backcountry, no one around, bring
where, where are you thinking for that?
all over. I think, out here there's a lot of good spots in South Tahoe. There's a lot of good spots in, like, the Desolation Wilderness. That's pretty popular area, but I mean, there's so many good backpacking routes, off of, like, Highway 80 up kind of near Donner Summit, like Castle Peak, and that leads north. Like, you're on, like, the PCT there, so you can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
go hit, like, a really good trail system, and then find yourself at, like, a remote lake that no one else is at. And so I'm working on, building up some gear for that. So we have, like, if people don't backpack, we have some gear for them to do, be able to go do it. And it's just kind of finding time and the um, the ability, I guess. Yeah, just figuring out how to make it happen still.
Hmm.
But that's been one of, like, my top things for the last, like, 2 years, and haven't been able to make it happen yet. So I got a big goal this year to at least get out for a multi-day trip into the backcountry.
Hmm. So you don't have a spot in mind yet. You're still kind of throwing things
Yeah,
around.
still kind of figuring it out, it's always going to depend, because same as mountain biking. You can have a beginner ride and an advanced ride, and those are very different. And with going into the backcountry, if you have people who haven't backpacked before or don't hike long distances, you have to cater to that, and find a hike where it's not super overbearing, where you can possibly cause injury or cause fatigue and get stuck or have to, get help. And because you really never know. You can have someone who signs up who's super healthy, and someone else, like I said earlier, they have had a knee replacement or something
Yeah. I
from a
mean, even
military.
for myself, I could spend all day long on a bike, but I go on like a 4 mile hike with my wife, and I'm just like dusted, dude. My body is
Yeah,
not conditioned for walking at all.
yeah.
It's
What I think
ridiculous.
what I've learned over time is, like, biking doesn't relate to anything else, but, like, if you hike a
Hiking.
lot and maybe, like, run, then, like, you can kinda get on a bike and be pretty fit. But, like,
Yeah.
you can't go ride bikes and then go run. It's like doesn't translate.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, it's crazy. But you like the leg strength is there, but like the everything else isn't there. So like all your joints and stuff like that are just like,
Yeah,
no, not today, dude.
right.
That's exciting, man. So how many people do you have in Disconnect to Reconnect's nonprofit? How many people are behind the scenes here total?
Yeah, I'm the executive director, and then our board of directors right now is 3 people, and we're going to grow to 5
Right on.
this year. Everyone, we got, let's see, 2 Marines, Air Force guy, Navy, or 2 Air Force now, and Navy. No Army yet.
No Army. Oh man. Those guys never show up anyway.
and
So.
and that's
I mean,
that's the whole
once the
plan.
Marines are there, the Army aren't needed, right? Isn't that how you guys say it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Or the Army just shows up so the Marines can leave or something like that? I don't know. You guys got some cocky shit you say. I don't
something like that. Like we go there first to clear the space or something.
know. Oh yeah, that sounds
I,
familiar. What are you looking forward to this year, man?
I'm looking forward to all of it, man. I'm looking forward to catching like a rhythm, and this year it's already different. It's new. It's everything is kind of taking shape. I mean, the organization started from nothing just 2 years ago. We started in doing events in 23, so we had 23, now 24, and every year I'm learning. I'm meeting people like you in Clint, and being able to like establish new ways to approach everything. And so I'm really
Mm-hmm.
excited, like at those new steps for this year, getting like mountain bike rides like this scheduled for monthly stuff, being able to bring in the new um, board members, and being able to pull like their thoughts into how things happen. Um, so kind of just finding that like that new rhythm, the growth that comes from involving more people,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of seeing where we end up.
And then how do you get companies involved?
Send them emails, call them.
Yeah.
It's it's been hard. It's really hard. Like as like a startup to request things or anything like that from companies. It's pretty hard. Like you were like a key part for us being able to get like those helmets from Cali Protectives. If I sent them an email, they would probably be like, "This is kind of random. We can't really do this." But having the
Yeah.
connection really helps out, and being able to share our story, and talking to people once they kind of see what we've done, or talk to veterans who have been a part of events, then it kind of opens up more of those avenues.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening, I know that I've worked for companies before that donate to nonprofits for tax reasons, or just they like to be like they like to do that as something like that they're proud of, like part of their culture. So if you have a company that you work for that does something like that, and you think that they would be interested in helping out, definitely send them the link to Disconnect to Reconnect. And you have a contact form on there, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be emailing Casey, or they'd be emailing Casey, and then hopefully they could work something out, because that'd be another way that you could help out, even if maybe you don't want to go and donate some of your own money, but you could pass the word on, and potentially that could really help out, because at the end of the day, the entire premise of a nonprofit is based around getting donations to be able to do what its mission is. So if you don't have people that are willing to help donate to that, whether it's their time or their money, then it's never going to accomplish anything. And at this point, Casey's been doing this for a few years now, and he's been very successful at it, but it'd be really rad to see it even be more successful. So we were like my buddy Clint that he mentioned earlier, like we were both working with another nonprofit before that was a little bit more national. And after just meeting Casey and hanging out with him and then going to his event, it just really resonated more with me and then also with Clint that we could have more impact with people that are like right here, that are local to us. So, and then something that we could be uh, more part of because it's based out of Northern California, right where we're at. So that's why him and I both made the decision to try to partner up with Casey as much as we can. So if you're just a biker fan and you want to come ride bikes with me, go swing by the Facebook page and see where the second Saturday ride is. We don't have the locations for them posted yet. The plan will be like we'll get them kind of close to the date. So I think we need to figure out where we're doing the first one. I think we were shooting around with Granite Bay and like a beginner ride for the very first one in January, and then we'll go from there and stepping it up in skill set and distance and stuff like that. Probably the second one we were talking about, maybe Rockville, or maybe the second or third one somewhere like Annandale and Santa Rosa. So we're going to try to move it around the Bay Area, and then once summertime comes up to things in the up in Tahoe and in the mountains. And so they'll be kind of all over the place. But like I said earlier as well, I mean, there's more than likely one of those weekends will be like a ride on the American River Trail. So just a gravel bike or a road bike. And we'll figure it out. So by this time next year, we'll have 12 of these down, and hopefully we'll kind of know what we're doing by then. So until then, it really is definitely like what I was saying though. The donations will really help, and it's something that I'm going to add to what I talk about at the beginning of the podcast, because I really want to see this happen for not only for Casey, because I really believe in what he's doing, but honestly, what it really comes down to is for the people that I saw how it affected. So it was really eye opening to see like how much impact it had on people. And to me, like when I went mountain biking for that trip, it wasn't the impact that it had for those other people, because like I mountain bike all the time, so I know these trails, and it felt like a normal day to me. But for them, you could really see like people that hadn't ridden before, like, man, when I go home, I'm going to go to Mike's Bikes and I'm going to buy one of those e-bikes. Like that one, I'm going to get that one, like, because I really liked that. It was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Like they're going to be a mountain biker. Like maybe their life is going to change from this day. And that's phenomenal. You know,
Yeah.
what's one of the things that comes to your mind when you think about the events that you've done, like the people that it's affected? Like what are the ones that, well, like is one example of something where it really like resonated with you, where you think about it?
Yeah. It's it is kind of it's like it's a whole experience just seeing how other people experience it. Um, and on every trip, every event we do, I um, get to see that in the different veterans who come out, and it's always that same like it's like it's like a graph. Like in the beginning, you're shy, you're scared, you're nervous, whatever it is, or you don't even show up at all. But like throughout the hike, the energy changes, the communication changes, you get more comfortable, you start to share your story. And then by the end of the event, it's just like everyone's friends. Everyone is um, having a good time. The experience was eye-opening, like you said, and it's but it takes that the whole time for that to grow, for that to happen, for that to develop. And so just seeing that kind of over and over again, it just solidifies to me, um, what the nonprofit stands for, and what the importance of it, and how it does affect people's lives, um, and how you know all the there's so many different types of like veterans in this area too, and so just seeing people in different parts of their journey, whether they're younger or older, or we're a grunt or we're a pogue, just kind of seeing that all develop is super rewarding, and it definitely lights fire to me every time, and it reminds me of why I wanted to do this, and every time we get support, external support, donations, anything like that, like then it really kind of like brings it full circle, because now I can then use that money to be able to provide that type of experience for a veteran, and then it just makes me super grateful and happy to be part of it. I think specifically, each event has been so different, and the type of people are different, and so I don't know if there's been one specific person or something that I really hold on to. It's just each event has been really cool.
Whenever people come, they really are like spread out like generationally. I didn't think about that whenever we were talking about it earlier, but it was definitely something that the event I was at. I mean, there was guys that were there like late 60s, or people that were in their 20s, and we're all sitting around like the campfire at the end of the night, making jokes about everything, and there was like the age barrier. There was no age barrier. There was like, it just felt like we were all there for the same reasons, and
Mhm.
everybody was, like I said, from different branches, and it was really fun. Like, it was really fun. There was a lot of people that said, it really made them feel like almost like they were in the military again, like, because it was like you got that camaraderie. And I think part of like the event, the way that it went, like when I thought about it after the fact, it was like you came to do something you never done before. So it was like, hey, when I went zip lining for the first time when I was in basic training, like, you never been there, you never done that before. And then somebody like gives you the gear that you need to do, like in the military. And it's like, we were doing the same thing. It was like, here's this gear that you've never, here's this helmet. Here's how you put this on. And then now we're going to go do this thing. So I think it had like similar vibes that way as well, where it's like you got issued the stuff to be able to go do the thing that you've never done before, and then somebody's teaching you how to do it, and then you like have that level of confidence, and like you feel good about it after the fact, because you're like, oh wow, I did do that,
Mhm.
when
Yeah,
people go
I
ahead.
think that like definitely with veterans, like we kind of like crave that too. Like it's kind of built into your DNA from when you're in boot camp and when you deploy, and you're forced to like be in these situations that are fast paced, move quick. You don't know much. You have to do something you're uncomfortable with, but you're also doing it with like these people you've never met before, and then suddenly you're best friends, and then you have life-changing experiences, things that most 19-year-olds don't do, and then it's over, and then you move on. And so it's like we almost kind of like crave that. I think as we get older, like you don't have those type of experiences very often, where you're put around other people, and you have to learn quick, do something extreme, and then like be friends with the people around you and trust the people around you. It's like so specific to being in the military, that like forced camaraderie type of thing.
Hmm.
I mean, I know I definitely like crave that sometimes. Like, I just want to like go do something crazy with some people.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of the reason that I like mountain biking so much, is because it reminds me of that as well. It's like, because you go out and like you do something that sucks together, but then it's fun too. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like climbing to the top of some mountain out in the middle of nowhere, and like it blows the whole time you're doing it, and then you get up there and you're like, fuck yeah, man, we did this. And then you get to do the downhill, and then you get that like, you know if you're into the post ride beers, it's like that camaraderie of like when you get like came back from like being deployed and everybody's like in the barracks just smashing beers, having a good time. Like, it just reminds you of that same thing, like the whole part of it. But I think that the thing is like the physical aspect of it is like going out and just like conquering something. It gives you this feeling of accomplishment that you don't get in like your civilian job, or whatever. And then the other thing is like also with mountain biking, and I'm sure some of the other sports as well, is like I love that feeling of when you come home from something like that and your body's just like destroyed. And it just feels like I can't really think about anything else because I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm done. And that's good for me, especially like have like an ADHD kind of mind, and to have those moments of clarity it's definitely worth something.
Yeah, you feel accomplished. You did something hard, um, and when you do it with other people, you share that experience.
Yeah. Has running the nonprofit helped you in ways with your own PTSD and things like that, in ways that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think that the easiest thing is to say like I still need all of this. That's I'm not I'm not 100% just like doing it for other people. I also am doing it for myself, and using the experiences that we do to help myself heal and help myself be like more physically active and engaged in those type of activities that I love to do and that I know are healing. um, but I think the accomplishment part of it is greater, because
Hmm.
now I'm not just showing up for the mountain biking weekend, but it's like putting it all together and kind of living through the maybe like this little bit of stress that it brings, and planning it and figuring out and getting other veterans to actually come out and be a part of it. To when you get to the end of that, that's I think a little bit greater. It's a better feeling than I knew it would be, I guess.
Yeah.
um, just kind of being able to for provide that whole thing is, yes, it's super rewarding. So
Yeah,
you're
I think
accomplished and confident and rewarded, and it feels good.
it's surprising that this is something that you decided to do, because as like a person that's met you a handful of times, that you're definitely more of a quiet guy. Like I'm pretty sure like the group ride that I first met you on, I don't know if you said anything to us at all until like the very end. It was like, you
Yes.
know, other than like who you were, and stuff like that. So I think you starting this and like um it's definitely probably making you kind of step out of your comfort zone just to get people involved.
Yeah.
Other than like I would imagine like the behind the scenes like planning it stuff is like easier for you because you're not front and center. But at the end of the day, like when you get out to the event, like you're the guy hosting it, so you have to be able to like speak and and
Yeah.
open up.
It's tough. It's it's the hardest thing for me is to be, super outgoing when I don't feel like being super outgoing.
Hmm.
And it's always been a, kind of a thing where I meet someone, and after a couple hours or maybe even hanging out a couple times, they go like, I still don't really know you, just because it does take me a while to warm up to people and to feel comfortable, I guess you would say. And so, yeah, it's definitely outside my comfort zone when I have to like immediately, meet people and be outgoing. I think that's why I said earlier it's great having my wife, because she, starts conversations and, gets those kind of juices flowing where, sometimes I'm like, okay with just being silent or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, just
and it's
sign your
like
name over
sometimes
there
it
and hang
comes
out.
off as like being like rude or something, but um no, I don't know. I'm a loving guy, happy guy, and sometimes I just forget to talk, and and yeah.
Which
I
one
think
of your events that you've done so far has been your favorite?
the The MTB camp out for sure.
Yeah.
I think because we were camping and out in the woods, and we even like went down to the lake, and we all had our tent set up and had it. It was like a big group site, and so we had that fire ring was like 15 feet across, and we just had like the biggest bonfire going, and it's super nice. And we were able to talk and hang out. We had good food. Food is always like the best. We had like a barbecue, and yeah, I think like on the second night of that one, I think I finally like opened up a little bit, and it triggered other people to open up a little bit. And that's kind of when I tell myself like, okay, like maybe I could have done that earlier or something, but it took me that long to kind of like share about myself. And and sometimes, yeah, it's like I need to force it a little bit quicker, or
Eh, you do what's
or
right
it
for
just
you,
happens
man.
when it happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it worked out just fine. I'm gonna tell people a little story about that. We started out the night. I don't remember which night. It must have been the second night because that was the night we were up later, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
and
late.
we started out that second night, and somewhere along the lines, somebody was making s'mores, and well, the ingredients for the s'mores, as you would expect in the woods, started getting ants on them. So at some point, it was like, we can't eat the s'mores anymore. It's got ants on it. You got to throw it in the fire. And then that turned into pretty much us burning everything and just saying it had ants on it. So the whole way through the night, it'd be like, oh, this book over here, oh, it's got ants on it. Throw it in there. It's like,
Throw in the
so it was
fire.
yeah, put it in the fire, man. It was funny. It was definitely like one of those things. We were there, but I was looking through the footage the other day because I was starting to get ready to edit that for the video I want to put together, and I forgot all about the it's got ants on it stuff. So I was over there chuckling. Burned the whole box of freaking graham crackers. I wanted a freaking s'mores, and somebody just said it had ants on it. Chucked it in there. Even the one that was still wrapped up, I was like, seriously, dude, like. So yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good time. It was definitely fun. Where what do you think is what do you like so much about the Everstoke area?
Um, I think mainly just like how cool those mountains are. Um, I love like that Gray Eagle town. So like the just that whole like corridor is great.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to Everstoke yet, so I don't exactly know like um exactly how everything is there, but I've seen like all the work Aaron does with like especially with like some of like the wood building he does uh
Hmm.
with some of the trails. And I think uh I think it'd be really fun to explore, and maybe we'll have some e-bikes for that so we can do that. But also just getting to, there's a lot of good trail systems out there. I think I think that'll be a big plus. Last year we, just rode in Nevada City, and camped there at Scotts Valley. Um, but I think this opens up the ability to like be camping there at Everstoke. We could ride there at Everstoke too, but then we can maybe jump out and go ride some cool trails out there.
Yeah, we could do Mills Peak is right there. We could go to Downingville and do the Downingville Classic downhill run, or you could go to Mount Huff, which is also right there. And then, like we said, the trails on Everstoke themselves as well. So there's definitely going to be plenty of like good riding right there in that area. That's just the big names that everybody knows. There's also a handful of other rides that are right in that area. If you follow BKXE's channel, he's definitely showcased a handful of them as well. So I know the Mount Elwell ride to me was like super duper fun, and when I did it on the analog bike, it was like probably the number one, if not at least, or for sure in the top three, like worst hike bikes of my entire life. But I rode that same ride last summer on the e-bike, and it blew my mind how easy it was. I mean, there was still a fair amount, there was still a section that you still had to hike a bike to get up to the very top, but it was like, it blew my mind how much that e-bike helped. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe we like we got to the beginning of like the worst part of the climb in probably like 35 minutes, where the day that we rode our analog bikes, it probably took us 2.5 hours to get there. It was like ridiculous. So it was like, oh my God, this is nuts. So, but anyways, I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff there. So if you want to go up and just be challenged, and I think we're going to try to set up some group rides there, but it'll also be like Casey was saying, you just want to come up and camp, you can come do your own thing, just come hang out with everybody at the end of the night. That'd be fun.
Hmm.
So you're shooting for September, I think.
Yeah,
You
shooting
know,
for
is it locked
September,
in yet
probably
or not? Not yet.
shooting for September. It's not locked in, um, but I think we should be able to make it work. And then it'll probably fall in on like that second Saturday weekend.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. And then so at this point you said you're also more than likely doing another surfing event in 2025. And is there anything else that you kind of have loosely on the books?
Working on the scheduling the surfing thing, then some snowshoeing this winter. Would love to get some kind of, even if we don't do a ski weekend, maybe just do a ski day. Get a group
Mm-hmm.
of people to go up to Kirkwood or North Star or something, and would love to do that. And then once the good weather hits, some nice hikes and a backpacking trip. Still working, figuring that out, but would love to do like almost kind of like a trip that you go backpacking, but while you're backpacking, maybe you're fishing or doing either
Mm-hmm.
like other things, like maybe even some like spiritual growth type of stuff, and
That
uh,
sounds fun.
really just like disconnect out in the woods, out in the
Yeah.
mountains, away from people, and just kind of get a fresh start.
I mean,
It's like
really, the sky's the limit for what you're trying to do because you're not making it just focused on bikes alone. I mean, it could be a fly fishing trip up in Shasta or Redding area or something like that. It could
yeah,
be a mountain biking trip. It could be so like if you did the skiing trip that you were talking about and somebody wanted to bring their wife, you would be paying for the veterans lift ticket, but obviously not their wife. So
yeah,
that
right.
would be they would have to be prepared then to pay for themselves in that aspect. But the veteran is the person that you would be taking care of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, up there, one of the main things is that anything we do that the veterans don't have to pay, to do it. And that's like the whole point of fundraising and, being able to bring money in so we can do that. Because, I mean, everyone's in different financial positions too. And, finances can relate to stress and relate to how you approach things. So if it's free to go skiing, you might go skiing or learn how to ski. Same with mountain biking. If you have a mountain bike that's provided, then you might actually go compared to needing to buy one or something.
Or yeah, maybe you're a mountain biker and you don't have an extra bike, but you have another buddy that's a veteran that doesn't have a bike and you'd like to get him into it. You could bring him out, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So definitely something like that. I'm really looking forward to the group rides, man. The ones that we were doing before, we weren't we didn't put them all on the calendar. And I think that for me, like, was the level of commitment that I need. I even said it to you when I sent you the calendar invites. I was like, I mean, I know once something's in there, then it's happening, you know, and to like to commit to like once a month and it's like that's going to happen, so that's the way it goes. So I mean, obviously there'd be weather permitting, but for the most part here in Northern California we're pretty good most of the year, so I would imagine there's a possibility there's a couple of them that could messed up. So definitely go by the Facebook page and or the Facebook group and join that group over there, or um, swing by the website and put your name on the mailing list, because that would be the way that we communicate to people that like, hey, it's Saturday morning, we woke up, it's raining, like we're not gonna do this.
Hmm.
So does that seem accurate?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So we don't have a particular brand of bikes that we're looking at this point. So if anybody that's listening has any kind of connection with a company that is a bike company or a company that sells bikes and that would be interested in working along with Disconnect to Reconnect, definitely reach out or pass the information along. So at this point, we're just now telling you that we're going to do this fundraiser, and then we're going to start trying to figure it out for the rest of the year. So it would be amazing if we could have that in place and like fully funded for that Everstoke trip. That would be like, that to me is like my goal right now. I don't know how realistic that is. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it could be super realistic. It could be completely unrealistic. So one way or the only way that we're going to find out is like as time goes by. So hopefully those of you guys that are listening can share the stoke, and once we start throwing some posts up, and you can share those, and if you have some money that you want to help out with, then do that as well. You can do like a reoccurring thing on your website as well, right?
Yeah, if you want to set up, you could set up monthly or yearly. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, $10 a month or something like that. That ends up being quite a bit of money, throughout the year, but that's not too much of a hardship each month. But
It's like buying a beer for
yeah,
your buddy.
yeah,
Yeah,
buy a
100%.
beer for a veteran.
Yeah. So we're like almost at the 2 hour mark here, and I always like to ask people on the podcast what YouTube channels they like to watch, regardless of if it has anything to do with mountain biking. So putting you on the spot, Casey, what do you like to watch?
Dude, so I mean, I watch almost like nothing but YouTube. I love creators. I love people who do their own thing and go shoot a video, go out. Especially everything I watch is usually around wilderness and mountain biking and hiking and camping and stuff. So I watch a lot of like mountain biking videos, know all the different mountain bikers. Um,
Who are your favorites?
I mean, it would probably be you're probably like my number one favorite.
Oh no, you're fanboying right now.
uh, I mean, BKXC is great. Obviously, he's puts out a lot of content, and it's it was fun to watch him like when he chose to like buy a van, and you like follow along with all those things. Um, my wife always knows if I'm watching his videos because he like woos a lot while he's riding.
Yeah, he does.
And so she's like, "Oh, is that the guy that woos a lot?"
That's the woo guy.
Yeah,
You know they have woo girls. He's a woo guy now.
yeah.
That's funny.
But I've been recently watching a lot of backpacking videos just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm kind of in that vibe right now. I'm trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out that stuff for the year. And there's a couple good YouTube channels. There's this guy who I think his channel is called like Until Journey's End or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
he does a lot of fishing and a lot of backpacking, or he'll go out, just on like a multi-day trip and bring his fishing stuff, and he will cook the fish he catches and kind of like just be super secluded in
Mm-hmm.
nature, like all by himself with his cameras. And I've always loved his videos for some reason, just kind of relaxing and chill.
Right on, man. I have a buddy that keeps trying to talk me into doing the Tahoe twirl. So it's like you basically like mountain bike all the way around Lake Tahoe. And he did it a couple years back with a friend. I think he said it took him like a week.
Wow.
And he keeps trying to talk me into it. And I'm like, man, is this the year that we end up doing it? It's like, I like sort of want to do it, and sort of like am low key like, that sounds like too much. But I think that's the part that makes me more interested in it, is the fact that I feel like it's too much. Because
Yeah.
then I'm like, then it's a challenge, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that. I think if someone, yeah, was like, "Hey, you want to do that?" I'd be like, "For sure." Even if I know like I couldn't do it, I'm always like, "Let's try it. Let's try to figure it out."
Right on, man. Well, it sounds like fun, dude. I'm looking forward to us getting together once a month for the next 12 months and doing these group rides. So all of you that are listening, if you're in the Northern California area and want to come out, swing by the website, take a look at what it is for second Saturday. At this point, the first second Saturday of the year is January, I don't know what. And that here, I could probably pull up a calendar while I'm sitting here talking. Nope, that's not working. So that week we're planning on being at Granite Bay.
I think it's
And did
the
we say a
11th.
time? Are we shooting for like a 9 or a 10? What do you think?
Yeah, 9 o'clock. I
Nine
think
o'clock.
nine's a good time. It's not too early, not too late. And
Exactly. And at least for something that's more local here. Like if we're driving to Santa Rosa, ooh, 9 will be rough, but we can still do it. I mean, I've
we'll
gotten up
figure
early.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So first, second Saturday, January, whatever it is, I can't see it.
11th.
The calendar. What is it?
11th.
January 11th, 9 a.m. at Granite Bay. They're at the main um, spot there where all the concession stand is and the beach. I don't know what is this. What's that beach? Is that like Granite Beach or something? It's called. I can't remember the name of that one. It'll
Yeah.
be on the website. We'll have
Yeah,
a
it's
pin.
like Main Beach or something, or
Yeah,
Granite
something like
Bay.
it's
The
like when you
Granite Bay.
drive in, it's not the very first right that you make, it's like the second or third one. It's up there a little bit.
Yeah. There's a bunch of construction over there, but it's the normal parking lot.
It's the normal parking lot. It's the one where everybody goes. So at least it's the one we're going to be at. So, anyways, if that's not clear enough for you, because that was about as clear as mud, definitely go swing by the website or the Facebook group. We'll have a pin drop to where everybody can meet. But looking forward to meeting some of you that are listening that maybe I've never met before. So, one way or another, thank you, Casey, for joining me for the last 2 hours and us talking about what you got going on here. I'm actually like, I feel honored to be like part of what you're doing, and hopefully in this next year we can see your cause grow even better, and we can get some e-bikes out there and be helping people out. So that's it's really rad what you're doing, and you deserve a good big old pat on the back for it, because like I said, I mean, the event that I went to, there was I don't even know how many people, was what, 20 or 30 people there, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and you definitely there was a lot of impact there. So I appreciate what you're doing as well. From somebody else that was just there for the same reasons, and yeah, it's rad, dude. So thank you very much. Those of you guys listening, like I said, links are down in the description. So click all of them and go check it out. And if you don't want to do any of that, just remember one thing: it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.
See ya.